What's going on, all my fantasy football fans out there? It's Friday night, Halloween weekend. Today, I am going to talk about some quarterbacks you should consider starting and some quarterbacks you should consider sitting on week 8. And this is all based on matchups, injuries, and just opportunity. Before we jump into that, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you can help the channel grow and so you can stay connected with us and make sure that you are getting the advice you need to compete at the highest level each week in fantasy football. Let's get ready to talk about some of these quarterbacks who you should start. And a lot of this is based on matchups. Now, some quarterbacks obviously are matchup proof because they're just really that good. And that's like, even though Mahomes is stinking it up right now, I still start him every week with confidence. I don't ever think, oh, I have to sit Mahomes. I just take it. This past week, obviously, he didn't have a good week fantasy wise and probably didn't score 10 fantasy points. But you know what? I take the L in that regard. I still was able to win. However, a player like Mahomes is never going to be on my bench because he has the ability to obviously take it to the next level. Now, the players I'm going to recommend you starting and sitting, I use a lot of this advice for my own leagues because I have a few teams that I am running and managing. And so I got to use my own advice too. And just assure you that the advice I'm giving you will be helpful. Hey, I'm in a few money leagues and this advice has helped me as well so far this season. So Joe Burrow has been doing the damn thing already this season. Okay. He has an excellent matchup against the Jets. Let's be real. Every week, quarterbacks see the Jets. Ooh, I'm gonna play the Jets. Fantasy managers see that their quarterback is going to play the Jets, and you're like, oh, that's going to be at least 25 fantasy points from my quarterback. The Jets defense is really bad. They've made the Patriots offense look really good this past week. Gave up over 50 points. Mack Jones looked like he was a seasoned veteran. I typically do not start Mack Jones. However, I started him versus the Jets because I figured he would have a good game. The whole damn offense had a good game. They went out there and whipped the Jets' butts. Um, the Bengals have been really good so far this season. They have a lot of offensive weapons for Joe Burrow to obviously utilize. And he's going to utilize all of those weapons on Sunday. And he's going to have a great game. Okay. Matt Jones had over 300 passing yards and 2 touchdowns versus the Jets. What do you think someone like Joe Burrow is going to do? Joe Burrow is going to do something similar. He's probably going to have more touchdowns, and he's going to at least get a minimum of 300 passing yards because the Jets defense is just that bad. So if you're not starting Joe Burrow with confidence, then I'm looking at you sideways. Joe Burrow, it's a no-brainer. Anytime your quarterback is facing the New York Jets defense, you start them with confidence. You do a little two-step, you get a little, and you start them with confidence because guess what? You know that your quarterback is going to exceed whatever projections that fantasy football league has for them that week. So start Joe with confidence and just be excited about what's going to happen Sunday. Think about it. If the Patriots offense can put up over 50 points against the Jets and their offense is really not that good, just imagine what a good offense can do. So I'm gonna be tuned in, y'all. Another great start, Matthew Stafford versus Houston. When I think of defenses like Houston, the Jets, and even Jacksonville this season, I think, especially in daily, I think, oh, I'm going to start a quarterback. So if I'm doing any DFS, I'm gonna I'm gonna stream a defense against them because the offenses are really that bad, and two, I'm going to start quarterback. So obviously, Houston's defense has been terrible. They've been horrible on both sides, offense and defense this season. So Matthew Stafford is a damn good start this week, but you're starting him every week typically, anyways, because of that high powered offense that the Rams have. Now, this is an even bigger, even better start for him because he's playing against a Houston defense that has not looked good at all this season. So Matthew Stafford should have a really good game, and obviously Cooper Kupp's gonna have a good game. But nonetheless, if you had any doubts about starting Matthew Stafford against Houston, don't have any doubts. He's gonna have a good game. It should be one of those explosions by the Rams, which should win you your games this week. You should be able to win this week if you have quarterbacks like Matthew Stafford and Joe Burrow, because I expect them to put up a lot of fantasy points this week. Now, I tend to stay away from rookies. However, Trevor Lawrence is playing better and he has a favorable matchup against Seattle. Seattle's defense obviously has not been the same since boom, they ain't been good since then. It's been a while, and this season things have gone downward. And when you have your leader out and Wilson, typically that's what tends to happen. And the defense hasn't really been good at all this season. So Trevor Lawrence, I'm saying start him with confidence. I'm starting him in a league because I feel like he's going to have a good game. Week 6 had a really good game versus Miami, had over 300 passing yards. Okay, so he's playing better. He's getting better. I know at the beginning everybody's like, "Oh my God, he was the number one pick. Is he a bust? Is he Blaine Gabbert?" No, he's not. He's developing. As you move forward with the season, you're starting to see that, okay, yes, he's starting to be more consistent. He's playing better. And that's exactly what's going to happen this week. Something similar to the game against Miami. I can envision him having a really good game fantasy wise. So if you have him on your team and you had any doubts of starting him and you don't have anybody else to start, he's a great play this week. I'm even considering him in one of my FanDuel matchups. So if you have Lawrence, rest assured he's going to have a good game. Now, Daniel Jones, that's right. I know people got a lot of negative things to say about Daniel Jones, talk trash about him, but this is a favorable matchup against the Chiefs. Okay, the Chiefs defense has been horrible, haven't been good for a few years. They give up a lot of points. Offense has to score a lot of points. Right now, the offense isn't doing that well. Both sides pretty much haven't played well in the last few weeks. Daniel Jones hasn't been bad in fantasy. So when people give me the side eye, I give them the side eye right back. I'll be like, I give it right back to you because if you look at his stats, he's had a few obviously bad games, but he's had a lot of good games and has probably helped your team compete on weeks that, you just didn't expect Daniel Jones to produce, but he has produced and gotten any of his owners the points they needed to win or at least be competitive. So let's stop acting like Daniel Jones is not a good play in fantasy because he has proven that he can hang in there. And this is definitely one of those games against the Chiefs defense that he should be able to get out there and have a good game fantasy wise. Hopefully he gets some of his offensive weapons back for Monday Night Football, and that'll even add to it. Just think if the Giants were 100% healthy on offense, this would be a more competitive game and the Giants would score more points, okay? But with some players who will most likely be out on offense, Jones is going to do more. Okay. Jones is out there acting like a wide receiver, too. So let's be clear. Daniel Jones is a good play this week, especially if you have anyone on a bye week or you have someone like Big Ben. If you have Big Ben on your roster and Daniel Jones is sitting on waivers, let's reverse that. Like Ben, he's at that stage in his career where he's someone you don't even consider drafting. Like you just don't do it. You move on from them. Okay. So if you got someone like Big Ben or even Tua, because Tua, okay, he had a good game last week, but he's not going to have a good game this week. I prefer Daniel Jones right now over Tua because just the consistency in fantasy. Okay. And he's looked a little bit better in regards to those ugly, strange interceptions that you're like, okay, who the hell are you throwing the ball to? I know you're throwing it to your opponent. However, where is anybody on your team at? Because no one is in the vicinity. So, anyways, y'all, Daniel Jones. And another great play, and it's crazy that I have to mention his name, but Patrick Mahomes is a great play this week. He's someone you start with confidence every week, no matter how bad it gets. It's getting ugly right now. A lot of people are questioning him, but if you have Mahomes, you start him with confidence. The Giants defense has not been good all season long. Don't be fooled by what they did last week. That defense is not good, and I don't think they'll be able to stop a high-powered offense like the Chiefs, regardless of how bad they are playing right now on offense. I expect Mahomes to really go off this game. I'm hoping he'll cut back on the turnovers, hurting us with the turnovers. If you have Mahomes, this is going to be that bounce back game that we have all been waiting for. And you start Mahomes with confidence. Your top dog, your ace, someone you probably drafted in the first round, you start them with confidence every week. I don't care who they are playing against. And this is a good matchup for him because the defense of the Giants hasn't been good all season. They rank in the bottom in most categories on defense. So Mahomes, it should be a really good game for him. So starting here with confidence. Let's switch gears and talk about some players that you should sit. Let's talk about some of these quarterbacks that need to be on your bench. Big Ben, I said that Ben should be on waivers. I dropped him in the league. He should be on waivers because he's really not producing at all. You have some rookies playing better than him. Mack Jones playing better than him. I prefer Mack Jones over Big Ben right now. Hell, Tua over Big Ben. But nonetheless, Ben hasn't played well, and he has a tough matchup against the Browns. Obviously, this is one of those rivalry matchups. One, and then two, the Browns defense is great. Top 5 defense. Ben, it's not going to look good. It's not going to look good for him. So don't put yourself in a bind because you need your quarterback to produce. If your quarterback doesn't produce, most likely you're going to lose that week. So why even put yourself in that position by taking a risk on someone who hasn't produced at all this year? So Big Ben should be on your bench, and he should be at the end of the bench or on waivers. So you pick one. Okay. You'll only see him on a roster in a super flex league. I wouldn't even have him in super flex because he's just not providing any value. But you do what you have to do. And let's switch it up. Baker Mayfield, dealing with a shoulder injury. Regardless if he was healthy or not, he is not someone I recommend in fantasy. He's not a good fantasy quarterback. He's not going to get you the points that you are looking for, expecting from your starting quarterback in fantasy. He hasn't even had a 4,000 yards passing season. So that should tell you a lot. Baker Mayfield is dealing with a shoulder injury, and we all know that um, the Browns are a run first team. Chubb is back. Johnson is going to be in the mix, obviously, and Felton, they may sprinkle in him a little bit every now and then. So they're going to be a run first team. And even if they weren't, I do not have confidence in Baker Mayfield every week. He's that quarterback that you look at the stats and you're shocked for fantasy purposes that, oh, he had a good game fantasy wise, but it's not going to be much. Okay. So if your quarterback ain't scoring in the 20s, then it's just not a good fantasy quarterback. So you're not starting any quarterbacks in that game, the Steelers versus the Browns. So put them both on your bench. And one of my favorites, Tua, right? Yeah. I remember when I was saying Giants is tanking for Tua. We going for Tua. Thank God we didn't. This is not the game for him. Last week, recommended starting him. Had a really good game. versus Atlanta. This is not that game. The Bills defense is serious. The Bills defense is legit. They've been legit the first 6 games of the season. They just got a chance to rest and get ready. Just coming off a bye week, getting ready for rivalry game against Miami. And that defense is serious. Opposing quarterbacks completion percentage is only at 58%, which is ranked at the top. They give up. They've given up the least amount of passing yards to quarterbacks through the first 8 weeks of the season. Just really good defense. And you see what they made Mahomes look like. Obviously, Mahomes is on another level than Tua. So don't even do it. Don't try it, guys. Don't try it. Don't do it because again, you'll be putting your team in a hole, and you cannot afford for your quarterback to go out there and get you potentially negative points because this is the kind of game I don't project him to get over 10 fantasy points in this game. It may even be close to negative if he doesn't take care of the football. Trust and believe, if he's not careful, the Bills will have some takeaways. So don't be cautious. Do the right thing and put him on your bench. It's not a good week to start him. He's a player you play based on matchups. Like you played him last week versus Atlanta, good. You sit him this week versus the Bills, or you start him based on matchups like Houston. Fine. The Jets, hell yeah. Bills, no, 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 no. Brown, no, no, no. You don't do it. That's the only time I play him is matchups. And Mack Jones, who played his tail off last week versus Jets, over 300 passing yards, two touchdowns, looked like a seasoned vet out there. Now, Mack Jones has showed some signs. I still don't feel confident that he's 100% ready to lead my fantasy football team. However, the Jets was a matchup that you start Mac Jones because again, that defense is really bad. Now he has a matchup that is just it's unfavorable. He's playing the Chargers, and they have allowed the fifth least the fifth least points to opposing team quarterbacks, and that's obviously not good. And his percentages are not that great, and he's right now a game manager, and they're a run first team. So it's not a good idea to do it. There are better options that you can consider before you take this risk just because he had a really good game last week. It was against a really bad defense. This is not the game to take that chance. Do the right thing and kindly tell Matt Jones to take a seat on your bench and let somebody else lead your team. Week 8. All right, y'all, make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to the channel. Leave comments regarding this video, any questions you may have on fantasy football. Definitely leave those comments and we will make sure that we respond. We'll respond to all of your questions regarding fantasy football. All right, y'all. Peace.